Monty says, in an ideal political world, you could use AI to design districts, providing equal numbers of residents without fear or favor, make it agnostic. If the AI technology exists, why isn't that something that's part of the conversation?
When you draw district lines, it's not as much of a science as it is a case of making a judgment call. So think about the work of the California Redistricting Commission, the commission that drew the lines that were temporarily thrown out by Prop 50 and are still in place the um, for the state legislature. They considered evidence of who are the communities of interest, whether it's farmers or people who are industrial workers or college students. When they're drawing the district lines, they are taking into account the idea that we want to draw districts so that it represents people who have cohesive interests. So, putting together, say, people with very disparate interests, you may end up with districts where some of the people in the district feel well represented and some feel poorly represented. If you can draw the districts to accomplish certain goals, political goals, that's okay, as long as you're not making partisanship the most important thing. Where we're seeing the use of AI and the use of computers in general is in these Section 2 cases and in these racial gerrymandering cases, where a state will draw a map and they'll say, oh, we had to do it this way for partisan reasons. Well, then you might ask a computer to draw 1,000,000 maps. Can you accomplish the same partisan goal without having this racial problem? And so litigants are actually using the maps to try and show fairness. The other thing that's happening is these commissions take evidence from voters. You can go and testify before these commissions in a lot of places. And people they're using software that's publicly available. They're making their own maps and they're presenting them. And it's become much easier. You don't have to be a computer whiz or somebody who's invested lots of money in proprietary data to be able to do that. So I do think that technology can help here, but I also think there's a question of a judgment call. You still have to, even if AI draws a bunch of maps, you still have to, a human still decide which is best, or what are the criteria we're going to use to decide which is best. You don't want just a random map that would just put people who don't be together in the same district.
Yeah, I mean, and you'd have to determine what's the hierarchy of criteria that you're feeding into the AI, of course, and that would be a battle. I'm going to be back with you next week, along with Janice, Mel, and Zev, as I'll be talking with former CIA officer Stephen Cash. He heads the nonprofit advocacy group, The Steady State. It's made up of former U.S. intelligence veterans who were opposed to President Trump's actions. We'll be with you again. That's 5 o'clock Pacific time next Wednesday, right here for America at a Crossroads. Make sure you make your reservation and sign up to join us with the link. Thank you so much. Have a terrific rest of your evening.